Welcome to Learning Photography with Duck. Here's your host, Duck.
All right, here we are. Thank you for coming out tonight. Tonight's show is on Photoshop. And if you could do me a favor, just put your microphones on mute. If you do have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask a question. So, kind of by popular demand, I unfortunately kind of posted rather late in the day, that I didn't have a topic for today, and I tossed it out and says, what you guys want to talk about? And Bill was, right on top of it. He suggested talking about pen tools. And after some discussion, I figured out what he's actually meaning is the graphics tablets. And then, of course, it was seconded by Brian and BJ. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight is what tools are available, what options there are, and possibly how to set them up and how they interact with the various pieces of software that we use as photographers and that you'll, eventually use outside of photography. So I don't know how technical this is going to get. We'll see, depending on your questions. But what I'd like to do is, first off, just kind of give an overview. Oops, wrong screen. All right. Kind of give an overview of what's out there on the market and give you a little bit of my opinion based on some of my past experience with some of these products. Now, when it comes to graphics tablets, one of the leading brand names that comes to mind is Wacom. And if you've been to my live sessions, you will see that I use a Wacom tablet. I've used Wacom tablets for the past, I don't know. Well, I've used tablets for about almost 30 years as a graphic artist. The early tablets that first came out were horrendous compared to what is available today. They had very limited usability, kind of sort of worked with some programs, didn't work with other programs. They had a stylus that required a battery, and you had to get the AAA battery, so they were big and bulky. And things like offsets and the area in relation to the screen, the area on the tablet in relation to the screens, were kind of off a little bit. But even as crude as those things were, it was a lot easier to be able to draw more naturally on a screen using a tablet than using a mouse. So I put up with them. And then one day, lo and behold, a company came along that just leaped and bounded over anything that was being put out there. And that was Wacom. And Wacom tablets' claim to fame was they were able to remove the battery aspect from their pen tablets. You no longer needed to worry about running out of power or recharging them or replenishing them with new batteries. And while they were still rather clunky and the software drivers weren't quite there with a lot of the different softwares, they realized that, they needed to up the game, and they became the leader in tablet technology. I bought one of my first Wacom tablets. I gotta say, it's about 25 years ago. And I still have that tablet. I still use it. As a matter of fact, as it started, my original tablet, as it started wearing out, I actually replaced it with the same model. So while I do have a slightly newer one in that respect, it's the same model. And I use that at home. Here at the studio, I actually bought myself one of the newer models, and that's the Wacom, what was it? The Artist series, which I'll show you in a second. And the difference between that old model and the new model is night and day. I would definitely suggest, if you can afford it, getting a new model. All right, but as far as what is available for graphics tablets, they basically come in two formats. The original format is basically just a plain tablet where you run the stylus across its surface and it gets mirrored up on the screen. And so there's a little bit of a learning curve as far as getting that hand-to-eye coordination, because you're looking there at the screen and everything's happening up on the screen, but all your action is happening down here on the table with your hand. All right. We're kind of sort of used to that with a mouse. We're used to having that disconnect between the screen and the mouse. But the nice thing about the mouse is that you can pick it up and set it down, and it's going to pick up wherever you left off. Unlike a tablet, where if you lift off and move and then set back down, that cursor is going to jump to the new position relative to your screen. So it takes a little getting used to. The second type of graphics tablet that is available now are the video tablets. And this basically is nothing more than a fancy touch screen, computer screen, where you're actually seeing your desktop projected as a touch tablet, where you can use a stylus on it. Obviously, because you're working with a live screen, these are a lot more expensive. And when they first got introduced, if you wanted one of those types of touch screens, you were paying $5,000-$6,000. All right. But this is going back, 10, 12 years ago. Fortunately, because of competition with other companies, the prices have come down considerably, and they are now within reach. It's no longer the big graphics companies or, the professional artists that are making, buku bucks that can afford these. Now, people like you and I who, are watching our budget, we can use them. All right. So I just basically pulled this up on Amazon, just to give you kind of an idea of what's out there. And of course, as I mentioned, the Wacom is the leading manufacturer of tablets. All right, and there's nothing relatively fancy about these. It's just a sensor built into a tablet, and that wherever the stylus touches, it places the cursor up on your screen in that position. Okay. And you can see that it comes with kind of like a gray grid, kind of sort of to give you a reference point, but I find I never use that. So that grid might as well not be there. But the nice thing is you can see that you can get one of these for about $100. All right. And these are pretty much the latest ones. And they come in, well, they used to come in 3 sizes. I don't know if they're still doing the 3 sizes, but you had a small, medium, and large. I actually have the medium one here. All right. Let me change to here. This is the medium tablet. So you can see it's about 10 inches, 10 and a half inches. Long and about 8.5 inches. So roughly the size of a piece of paper. And the actual working area is within that. So it's roughly, 6 by 8 working area. Actually, let me go to this one. All right, 6 by 8. All right. The other thing that these tablets come with, and I have to fight the cable here, so excuse me. The other thing it comes with are these built-in buttons. They're press buttons that you can assign to do specific tasks. All right. So for example, if you're constantly cutting and pasting, you can set one to cut, the other one to paste. If you're using Photoshop and you do a lot of painting, you can set, to activate your brush, and then maybe one to make your brush size bigger, the other one to make the size brush smaller, whatever it is, however you want to configure it. And the nice thing is with the new software, it recognizes what program you're working in, and it will adjust these according to how you have them preset. So if you're working in Lightroom, you can have these 4 preset to a certain task within Lightroom. And then when you switch over to Photoshop, you can assign these as something else to work within Photoshop. So that's kind of nice. All right. And like I mentioned, these styluses don't require batteries anymore. They haven't in a long time. So you don't need to worry about battery. If you don't want the cable, you don't want to be tethered like this with the cable, they do sell a wireless kit, right? And then at that point, you just have to put in the wireless kit here and then the battery, and just recharge the battery on the tablet as often as needed, depending on your use. All right, so there are wireless capabilities to these tablets as well. Okay. All right, so this is, here we go. So this is the Wacom Intuos, okay, medium size, black, all right. And if you want something a little less expensive, this is a smaller, a little bit more portable. This is kind of the replacement to my first original tablet. It was very small. And this allows you to, if you have like a laptop, this allows you to pack this in your laptop bag right along with your laptop. You can travel with it. It's small, it's easy. Just put it on the table next to you and you are good to go. And as you can see, it also comes with wireless capabilities. So they're not that expensive. You can get into a relatively decent a tablet that has a good reputation for, with shipping and all that. I'm sure it comes to about $75-80. Okay. But Wacom is not the only company out there making these right now. There are a couple others. Let's see, where did I put it? Where did I put it? Okay, I don't think I pulled it up. But Huion is a company out of Japan that puts out really decent tablets. They're probably the leading competitor to Wacom right now. And another one that's been around for a while, but I'm kind of displeased with them, is UGEE. And I'll discuss a little bit about that moving forward. But and of course, there are a few other smaller companies that create tablets that you can get relatively inexpensive. But when you compare pricing across the board, you're really not saving a lot of money with these, I don't want to really call them off brands because they're not really off brands. They're off brands here in the United States. They have a little bit more success with their marketing in the Asian markets, so they're well known over there. But here in the States, the leader is Wacom. And what it comes down to these tablets is you want to make sure that the software drivers are maintained and updated on a regular basis in order to maintain their efficiency. The last thing you want to do is buy a tablet and then find out that the driver hasn't been updated in 3 years, and now it's starting to give you problems because it's finding itself being incompatible with the latest update that Adobe released. So that's where I would watch out. Also, like I mentioned, there are the screen displays, types of tablets. And what these do is these connect into your video out port on your computer and basically becomes a secondary screen on your computer that you can interact with. You actually have touch control with these products. And like the regular tablets, depending on the price point, you have access to customizable buttons. All right. In this case, this is the Wacom Cintiq Pro 24. It actually comes with a kind of like a control pad, I guess you can call it. It's got something like 6 programmable buttons, and it's got the rotating touch pad so that you can assign, for example, you can assign the size of your brush to the rotator. So when you rotate up, it makes the brush bigger. If you rotate down, it makes the brush smaller. It's all configurable. And you can see here being used, okay, in tandem. The nice thing about this is it really, really makes the ergonomics almost as if you are drawing on paper. All right. Because you are drawing on glass, there is a slight offset between the point and the actual screen because of the thickness of the glass. But to be honest, these manufacturers have been really working on minimizing, really working on minimizing that offset so that it really, really gives you that painting on paper feel. Okay. Now, of course, this is their Pro model. It's large. All right. You can see in this image, it's almost as large as his main display. But the price point is only $2,000. Now you say to yourself, holy cow, $2,000. I can't afford that. But, how I look at it is when these originally came out, they were $6,000 and up. All right. So this is a lot more affordable today than they were 10 to 12 years ago, whenever they first came out. All right. Now, obviously, this is a little bit out of reach for a lot of people. And Wacom has understood that. And the leading competitors for Wacom, like I mentioned earlier, is Huion. And Huion has been really helping to drive that market price down. And they came out with a small one that just goes pretty much toe to toe with anything that Wacom can do. All right. And the difference is that this is a 13-inch screen instead of a 24-inch screen. But look at the price. With shipping and handling and all that, you're a little over $300. That's a far cry from $2,000. Now, in response, Wacom came out with a 13-inch tablet, screen tablet, for roughly about $100 more. Okay, so if you want a Wacom display tablet instead of a Huion display tablet, you'll have to pay a little bit more, but you're going to get the Wacom name. And for some people, that means a lot. Okay, however, like I mentioned, a lot of artists have been testing the Huion up against the Wacom, and it's meeting it toe to toe. So if you want to save yourselves about $100, this is the way to go. The difference with a display tablet in comparisons to a regular graphics tablet is how you connect. This requires you to connect through two ports. You got to connect through your USB port for the pen connectivity, and you have to connect to the display port in order to get the video. All right, but unlike adding a second screen to your system, you can't split it. All right, it's gonna be acting as if you're mirroring your screen. So there's that limitation. But like I said, it gives you the feel that you're actually working right on that surface. It makes drawing and editing that much more lifelike, I guess you can say it. Okay. So the Huion canvas, which is their latest product, also comes in a larger size. It's not quite the 24-inch size of the Cintiq, but if you want a little bit more screen than just a small 13-inch, because even though it's 13-inch, the actual working size is closer to about 10 inches. But the 16-inch will give you a little bit more real estate to work in. Now, the thing is with these screens, because they are touch sensitive, all right, you can zoom in and zoom out very, very easily just with a simple two-finger swipe. Okay. Or you can use the programmable buttons. All right. And now that's the one thing that Wacom is lacking on. That's what Wacom is lacking on their small tablets, is that they don't have those programmable keys. Okay. I don't know why, if they were just trying to keep the price down or whatever it is. But, if Huion can do it, I can't understand why Wacom would not do it. It's like cutting their nose off to spite their face. While the Huion 13-inch, which is comparable to the Wacom 13-inch, has not only the programmable keys, but it also has a touch bar. And, that works very similar to the circular pad on the other Cintiq, where you can, use it as kind of like a slider. So, for example, if you attach it to your brush size, pushing that bar up makes your brush size bigger, bringing your finger down along that bar makes it smaller, and so on. All right, and you can program it as you like. Okay, so those are basically the two different types of tablets that are available to us. the graphics tablet and the regular touch tablets. Okay. Any questions so far? It's pretty much just kind of like an overview. All right.
I punched one into the chat. That was me a couple seconds ago. When you were talking about the graphics ones, I imagine then that for us laptop users, that extra video port would be kind of a problem because I use mine for my secondary monitor. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. That's the biggest drawback with the video tablets is that if you were to, all right, so when we attach a secondary monitor to our system, the operating system, whether you're on a Mac or whether you're on a PC or whether you're on a Linux system, will ask you, how do you want to handle that secondary monitor? All right. Because you can have two monitors side by side showing two different, kind of like an extension of your desktop. And you can have, like how I have my system, I have, my desktop here, all right. And then I have all my utilities here, kind of keeping them separate. So I can project my desktop without having to, cover up a lot of what, I need, for my broadcast. So it allows me to really expand my real estate off of one screen. The other option is you can mirror the screens, all right? And this is useful like if you bring your laptop to a presentation where whatever you're seeing can be broadcast through like a projector to your audience, okay? And of course, the other option is not to project it. But if you decide to project to the two screens and use it to expand your desktop, that Cintiq or that Huion is also it's going to actually show you both screens at the same time. All right. So from what I understand, they haven't quite broached how to have two different, things on the system. And that is because it's tied to the stylus. Okay. Because you're using the graphics tablet in order to navigate the cursor up on the screen. Okay. So for example, let me just switch to this. For example, the way I have my system set up is I have a screen here and a screen here. But on the tablet, my left screen is here, my right screen is here. All right, so if I want to do anything on the left screen, I have to make sure I'm on this side of my tablet. If I want to do anything on my other screen, I have to make sure I put it here. So now if you have a graphics tablet that shows you your screen, it's actually a touch screen, okay? It won't know which window you're navigating on if you're only showing one screen, but using two separate screens to expand your real estate. I don't know if I explained that properly. All right. So what it needs to do is it needs to display both screens on here in order to be able to flip between both screens, both monitors. All right. So that becomes the issue. So the only way you can use those screens is just by mirroring what your main screen is doing. Okay. Hopefully,
Doug,
yeah.
posted on Facebook in the Learn Photography with Duck, just so you can see what my tablet looks like.
Okay.
I posted it in the comments.
It's right. Come on. All right, here we go.
There we are. There
Yeah.
it is.
Okay, so that looks like, yeah, that's a Wacom. All right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, so this one here has 6 programmable buttons and a, guess you can kind of sort of call it a touchpad. It's a directional pad. And if you notice these little markings right here, right, this one, oh, what's going on here? Let me, oh, I got to launch a program. Hold on, give me a second. Here we go. All right. If you notice these little marks here, these little corner marks, this represents your working area. All right. So as long as you keep your stylus within that, that's your working area. All right. The reason they do this is because most people are right-handed, and it allows you enough real estate underneath and, you know, to the right-hand side to be able to put your hand on it. Okay. And then of course with your left hand you would control the numbers. Okay. So now you loaded the software on this, the
Yes.
Wacom software. Okay.
Yes, I did.
And it's all up to date. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. What I find is, and you might want to consider this. Let me go back to this view here. If you notice, all right, so mine is the newer generation of what you have. Okay. Notice how mine is shiny. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It doesn't come that way from the factory. All right. I actually, what I did is I took one of those protective screens that they sell for tablets.
Yes.
All right. I bought one of those. Walmart, they're very inexpensive. And what I did is I stuck it down to the working area of my tablet. And what that does is it becomes a protective buffer. All right. Because these styluses, while they have a plastic tip, all right, on these, all right, with extensive use, it starts wearing on it and it starts getting kind of ugly and really nasty looking. So what I've done is I put this protective film on it, and when it gets beat up, I just peel it off and put the next one on. And what's nice is that they are very slippery, so you're not getting that drag, and you can actually make very, very, you know, fine controls with this on there. So, you know,
That's good.
take it for, yeah,
That's
take.
good to know, because this thing costs more than $100.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. It's, you know, the early ones, yeah, the prices were up there, you know. But yeah, so that just protects the surface, makes it a little bit easier to work on. And like I said, you know, when it becomes beat up, you just peel it off and put another one on. Usually I buy the biggest size that I can find, and it usually comes 3 in a pack. I'll put one on and put the other 2, you know, aside for later. Okay. Now, The other thing that you have to be concerned about is how to position this in relation to the screen. All right. What I find that if I'm at angle, all right, to my screen, while it may be ergonomically easier, it creates a little bit of a disconnect within the brain, and my hand now wants to compensate for that angle difference, and I find that I'm now trying to create a line, a straight line on my screen, but my hand is moving at an angle on the tablet because of that disconnect between the eye-hand coordination and how my brain processes it. So it often helps to have this parallel with your screen. All right. That way, as you're watching the screen and you're drawing, when you're drawing a straight line across your screen, you're also doing a straight line here, because you don't want to be looking down here to try to figure out whether you're drawing a straight line. You want to be able to do it naturally while looking up at the screen. So keeping this parallel, let's see if I can get it parallel to your screen rather than at a slight angle, helps a lot. All right. The other thing that I kind of grew into, because there's going to be a learning process, all right, especially when you are so used to working with this, all right, it's going to be a little bit on the frustrating end, because it's easy. You move the mouse, the pointer moves, all right. When you run out of desk space, what do? You lift this up, bring it back, put it back down, and then you can continue. It doesn't quite work that way with these tablets. These tablets are designed so that, and again, I'm limited to my cable here. This is your upper left, this is your upper right, this is your lower right, and this is your lower left, all right, in relation to your screen, all right? So if you want to do something here, all right, if I go up to here, it puts me in the upper corner. If I go down here, it puts me in the lower corner, all right? Because I have two screens, this now becomes my upper left on my second screen, and this becomes my lower right on my second screen, okay? So they are in relation to, all right, if I travel diagonally here, this is in relation to the screens, all right? So that becomes a little awkward to kind of wrap our heads around, because we're so used to just going over, and when we see the mouse go over, it becomes second nature at this point to lift up, bring back, set back down, and think that we're just going to continue. But all of a sudden, our mouse pointer, or our pointer on the screen, is going to jump to the new location. So it's like, oh, that's right, I'm working on a tablet, I'm not working on a mouse. Gotta rethink things. All right. So it's definitely a learning process. But I will tell you, I can't use a mouse very easily anymore. All right. I'm so used to the tablet, because I've been using it for so long, that a mouse now feels foreign. Okay. Well, for you, if you're new to a tablet, the tablet is going to feel foreign, while the mouse is a natural extension of your hand. All right. So with practice and just, with continued use, it will eventually switch over. Okay. All right. So that said, there's a few things that you need to do in order to get your tablet working properly with your program. All right. I am on a Windows program or Windows machine. So I'm not familiar with Mac, and I don't think Mac has the same issue that Windows does. All right. And one of the issues is that Windows, within their operating system, has a section that is specifically designed to work with touchscreens. Meaning that if you were to go out and buy a touchscreen and mount it and connect it to your computer, the operating system will recognize that what you just plugged in is a touchscreen, all right? And those of you with laptops with a touchscreen, you already understand this, right? Where you can just take your finger, go up to the screen, swipe, and it's going to do things on your screen. You know, if you want to double tap, if you want to tap and drag, if you want to expand, or if you want to contract, or if you want to scroll up or scroll down, you just make hand movements right on your screen and it recognizes it. That tends to conflict when you're using one of these, all right, to a certain extent, all right. And Windows has the Windows Ink. Let's see. All right, the Windows Ink setting. All right, here it is. Okay. What you have to make sure is that if you are running into conflicts for some reason, you want to check this section out. All right, and make sure that the Windows Ink is off. All right, especially if you don't have a touch screen. That's basically what I want to get to. Is if you don't have a touch screen and you're running into problems, make sure that Windows Ink is off. All right. And the other area you can check it, and I don't know if I can get to it right now, is sometimes from the properties. Let's see if I can figure this out here. From the properties menu. All right. You won't see it here, but when you open up your properties menu on like text programs, drawing programs, a lot of programs that require some kind of input device, there will be a section where you can actually turn off ink. All right, it's called Windows Ink, INK. All right, and it's basically a check mark, kind of like this, where you just deselect it and it turns it off. And I find that oftentimes that resolves the issue. Okay, I didn't really think about that, so I didn't quite have that set up to show you guys. Sorry. But if you guys have a problem, you know, just let me know, and I can look it up and walk you through. All right. But the Wacom software, the tablet properties, allows you to customize your tablets. And when you first hook up your tablets, you should come in here and kind of play around with this and make sure that everything's working properly. All right. And you're going to find that right at the very top, create profiles for very specific programs. So you can, like, for example, with my tablet, I have a profile for Photoshop, I have a profile for Lightroom, a profile for Chrome, Affinity Designer, my Corel Draw, my Corel Photo Paint, things like that. And of course, a default one, which it calls all others. Okay. And right below that, you have different aspects of the Wacom tablet that you can modify. So you can, the tablet part basically conforms to your programmable buttons. All right. And these are all customizable depending on what it is you want to do. So for example, I usually don't use these buttons. That's why you're not going to see anything on here. All right. But for example, with Photoshop, I have zoom set up on this one. I have spotlight. Oh, I see. Yeah. I have it set up so that I can access my presentation tools right from my desktop. Okay. And these basically just drop down and you can say, okay, I want to activate a specific, like coordinated with a click on the mouse, or I want to do some kind of navigation, or I want to activate something within the program, or even alt keys. You can program alt keys, whatever it is that you want. So for example, with Photoshop, to make your brush size bigger, it would be the square brackets. All right, the square brackets right makes it bigger, the square bracket left makes it smaller. You can go in and you can say, okay, here I'm going to put a keystroke, and I'm going to say clear, and then just hit the square bracket on your keyboard and it plugs it in, and it says anytime I hit this button, it's going to do this, which Photoshop understands it to be make the brush size bigger. Okay, so hopefully that kind of clears that up a little bit. All right, the second one is you can modify the feel of your pen, the pen tip. All right, you can have a very light pressure, okay, or you can have a very firm pressure. All right, so the more towards the firm means the harder you have to press. Now, here's the problem, all right? The mechanics of this is very touchy, okay? These aren't like heavy-duty, really rough pens that you can abuse, okay? There's a little bit of a spring to it, and there is a plastic, let's see if I can get it out. There's a plastic tip that really goes up into the barrel, and what this is doing is it's pressing on kind of electromagnetic solenoid, all right? And the more pressure that's applied to the internal spring, it relates to how many points of pressure gets translated in the software, all right? The thing is, you don't want to be really cranking down with a lot of pressure on this, because eventually you're going to cause damage to the pen. Not only that, you're going to create a lot of stress on your hand, especially if you use this a lot. So find something that works comfortably with the minimal amount of pressure, so that if you're barely moving across, all right, it's not going to do anything until you actually start putting pressure, all right? So I tend to keep mine right about the center. That pretty much works for a lot of people. And this allows me to, if I want to make a really thick stroke, I can really push down. Or if I want to make a thin stroke, I can just literally barely touch the tablet and it's going to register. Okay. The other ones, the double click, it's just the same as if you were using a mouse. The tablets come with these styluses, and it has a toggle switch. I don't know if you can see it here. Comes with a toggle switch. All right, that you can assign, and the way I hold my pen is I assign my single click to the bottom. All right, and I assign my right click to the top. So I can do, a regular click or a right click, all right? Or I can do a double tap just by the pen point, because this becomes a touch point as well, all right? So you can set how fast your double click is before the software registers it as a double click, all right? So if you're the kind of person that when you first start using this, you find that this is bouncing on you because you're afraid to really, put any pressure on it, and you're finding that this is bouncing and it's registering as a double click, then you know what? Maybe just increase this a little bit, okay? And then, of course, just like the buttons on the tablet, the buttons on the pen can also be programmed to do very specific tasks. All right. In my case, I keep it to being able to work with the operating system. So I have my right click on the top, and I have my scroll, and then my regular click. Okay. All right. Then there are on-screen controls. Okay. These are for the more advanced Wacom tablets that come with a widget that you can actually open up as part of your drawing tablet program, and it comes and assists you. All right. So rather than having, like in the tablet that I showed you, had that little module that you can play around with the circular buttons and the programmable buttons. This becomes kind of like a virtual little button packet that you can program. And just like any virtual button pack or menu, you can move it around your screen. Okay. Some people like this, some people don't. It depends on whether you want another window on your workspace, okay? Because that's going to take up real estate, but it will give you more functionality, okay? So that is available. And a lot of these, especially the newer ones, are also touch sensitive with your hand, right? In my case, there's a little button here that I can, where is it? Oh, right here. There's a button here that I can turn on and off whether I want that touch sensitivity. All right, and I should be showing you the desktop. I am sorry, I should have been showing you the desktop. All right, so this is the menu. All right, tablet, you can program the keys. Pen, you can program the keys. All right, then there's mapping. All right, which maps to your screen. All right, displays. Okay. With the digital displays, it's going to map to both screens. All right. So in this case, I'm using 2 screens. So I'm telling the program that I want the screen area, the full screen area, to represent both screens. All right. You can also do it as a portion. All right. Where only a portion of this area, all right, like forced proportions. And what that's going to do is it's going to disregard the lower part of that tab. I'm not a big fan of that, so I don't have it. All right. But here's where you can get a little bit creative. All right. If you're using one of those digital screens, you can map it to a specific monitor. But the downside to that is you do not have access to that other monitor. You can't use your tablet on that other monitor. Okay. And I don't know because I've never really tried it. I don't have one of those. I don't know if there's a workaround where you can have both one of these.
Jeff, you lost your sound.
Oh, thank you. Oh, full. All right, there we go. Thank you. I don't know if you can. I know I can use this and this at the same time. And one just kind of overrides the other depending on when I'm using it. But I don't know if you can use like the mouse on one screen and this on the other screen. I don't know. I've never played with it because I don't have a Wacom screen. I do have a UG one. All right. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But I know with the UG, you can't do that. Okay. All right. And of course, you can designate if you just want to use a very specific part of your tablet, which I don't understand why you would, but it's available. Okay. And then, like I mentioned, you can use the little button to assign gestures, just like you would with like your touchscreen on a touchscreen laptop or your touchscreen on a tablet or a cell phone. You can assign those very specific, 2-finger to expand, 2-finger to scroll, or 3 fingers to scroll, however you want to do it. That's all programmable. All right. I keep mine off because I don't want it interfering, but you can very easily turn it on. And the software, for the most part, is very good at detecting when you have your palm on the tablet when you're using the stylus. Otherwise, it'd be, making, all these crazy things, right? But I don't like that utility, so I keep mine off, okay? And then, of course, you have the touch options, your pointer speed, scrolling speed, pointer acceleration. These are all the same as if you were using a mouse. So if you're familiar with, being able to tune your mouse, it's the same thing here. All right. Your pointer speed. Okay. But that's when you're using, the finger gestures. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much it for this utility. All right. Any questions on any of this? Especially Bill, since you're trying to get used to yours.
Not with this. I have trouble with hand coordination. While you were explaining a couple of things, I was playing around in Photoshop, and you said those 4 corners, do not relate to the picture. Like the picture is a certain size. It relates, on my machine anyways, it relates to the workspace. So obviously my picture space, my canvas, I guess you call it, is smaller. So it's like I have to go way in. It's just coordination that's hard for me to do with
Right.
this.
What you might want to do is, well, first make sure your software is up to date. I know you have an older one, but you want to make sure that you have whatever the last driver was for that. And then what you might want to do is just double check your mapping.
I said Christmas. Oh,
What's that?
okay.
All right. Yeah, just check.
Okay. I bought this. I bought this at Christmas time.
Oh, okay. Oh, that looked like an older model.
It could have been an older model. I got it through Amazon, so it could have been older. And I was looking at price. So.
Right.
Okay. What you were saying about mapping?
But yeah, so just open up your Wacom tablets properties and look on the mapping section.
Okay.
And make sure that this is maximized as much as you can. All right, the full area of the screen, the full area of the tablet. If you're not getting that already, this is where I would check first.
Okay.
Okay. Now, do you use two screens?
One screen.
One screen. Okay. All right. Because when you have two screens, the mapping area gets a little funky.
Okay.
All right. Oh, here it is. Use Windows Ink right here. There it is. All right. Make sure that's off. All right. If you don't have a physical touch screen, make sure that's off because this tends to cause issues, really funky issues. All right. So anyhow, but yeah, I would check the mapping first. Okay. Any other questions on this?
That's it. Okay.
All right. Now, as far as coordinating, the best thing that I can suggest is, let me go to Photoshop, and I'm just going to create a new.
Just for ha-has, Duck.
Yeah.
Am I able to share the screen just so I can show you what my problem is?
Do you see the Present Now button? Is that visible to you?
I don't see a Present Now button. Where would that be?
Let me go. When you hover over the chat window down all the way at the bottom, do you see anything that says
right-hand corner?
Oh, okay. Let's try that. Let me try that. Hold on a second. Present Now. Let's do Present Now. Let's see if I can just present the app. I think I'm okay. Wait a minute. Do this. Let me do that. Present Now. A window. And now let's do this. Okay. Let me try this. Hold on one second.
Yep.
Yeah, hold on. Let me do this. Present Now. And my entire screen. Can't share your screen. You must grant permission in order to share screen.
Okay.
Let's try a window. You must grant permission.
All right. So how do I grant permission? I
have to grant permission. According to this, I have to grant permission.
Huh? Wait a minute. Really?
You must grant permission. I think it means I have to grant permission. It says you, meaning me. It popped up for me.
Yeah, so to tell you honestly, I've never used this feature of Google Meet just because of the way my software's set up. So
let's try settings. Hold on, let's try settings. Never mind. That's okay.
All right.
I'll figure it out. It's just I'm having trouble coordinating. It's just like it's not doing what I want it to do when I want it to do, whereas a mouse will.
Okay, such as. Can
Let me try.
can you give me an
I
example?
knocked this out. Hold on. I'm going into Photoshop. I have a picture, and what I want to do is I want to use the healing brush, spot healing brush, and let's see. Yes, I am able to change the size this way. Oh, good. There is something I'd like to change here. Hold on. I have a picture, just to let you know, I have a picture of a Good Humor truck and a guy, and in front of the truck you see cracks on the driveway or on the parking lot.
Okay.
So let me try. Oh, wait a minute. I'm doing that with the mouse. No wonder it was so easy. Hold on a second. Let me get rid of the mouse. And let me now try it with the pen. I'm over here, and let me come down. Now it wants to change the size. Maybe because I don't want to change the size. I don't want this little box. Let me try it again. And the size is different. The size is not the same as it was with the mouse. That's interesting.
Yeah, okay.
It did work. The mouse was at a certain size. Is it because of feathering?
No, I mean the pointer. If I'm, the pointer should be the same whether you're using the tablet or the mouse.
Okay, let me explain one more thing. Hold on a second. Now, when I have the mouse is at 100 pixels. The size is 100 pixels. Hardness is 100%. Spacing 1%. But the size is 100%.
Okay.
And it covers more than the crack. The crack is it's not a very small, but it's not a very big size crack. Okay. So it's 100 pixels, and it covers more than the crack. Now the circle goes around the crack. The circle goes around the crack. But the drawing, which is black, it's like a drawing. The circle covers it.
Right.
And it doesn't erase, it doesn't heal it as well as the mouse. That's the frustrating part of this.
Yeah, that's really strange. The first thing that comes to mind is I would open up your Wacom tablets properties.
Okay.
All right. And look at a couple of things.
How do I have the Wacom tablet properties? Okay. How do I get to there?
You're on Windows?
Yes.
Okay. So if you go to your Start menu,
okay,
scroll down and see if you see anything that says like Wacom tablet.
I have Wacom tablet. Yeah, I have a folder for it.
Yep.
And let me.
And
I have. This is what I have: Wacom Desktop Center.
Correct.
Display, Wacom Display Setting, Wacom Tablet Preference File Utility, and Wacom Tablet Properties.
Wacom Tablet Properties. Click on that.
Okay, I'm opening that now with my mouse.
All right.
It says the tablet driver was not found.
All right. So you're okay. So there's probably the biggest issue right there, is you don't have the driver properly loaded. Okay. So what you'll need to do is open up a browser. Okay. And go to Wacom.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. From there, I believe it's in support, drivers, manuals, download. Okay. I don't know if you can see it
Get
here.
to support. No, it says that I agree. Cookies on this side. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I'm on support. And do I want setup and use?
All right. No, when you're in support, about halfway down, you're going to see a search bar. Okay, it says
Browse all guides.
what you want to do is where it says drivers, manuals, and downloads. All right. I have it highlighted on my screen. If you want to
Okay,
pin my screen.
Drivers. Okay. Here we are. Drivers, manuals, downloads.
Yep.
Yes, here we go.
All right, you're going to click on that,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to
Okay.
type in the model number of your tablet. All right, and you can usually.
Funny.
Yeah, go ahead.
This box does not say a model number. That's what really surprises me.
Yeah, they're a little weird.
It's called Intuos Pro.
All right. Yeah, Intuos is kind of like their product line, just like Bamboo and just like Cintiq. They have multiples. All right. But if you look on the back of your tablet, sometimes it'll be right in the center. All right.
Okay, hold on.
If not, there may
it's
be.
a model number PTH 451.
All right. So type that in.
PTH 451. Hold on.
All right. So I'll do it along with you. PTH 451. All right.
Yes.
And
yeah, that's it.
Yep. And then just click on the download Windows driver.
Okay.
All right. And you'll want to install that. You'll need to restart your machine.
Okay.
All right. So
I will download now, but I'll restart the machine.
Yeah. So you'll restart it later. All right.
Yes.
All right. After you restart it, all right, you're going to come back. All right. And you're going to come back to the tablet's properties. Okay. And you're going to look at two things. All right. You're going to look at your pen. Okay. Mm-hmm. By default, and you can't change this, the tip is as if you were clicking the left mouse button on your mouse. Okay. Mm-hmm. The other two, you're able to program. All right. And program it however you like. I have it so that if I'm in a window, like a browser window, all right, I have to physically press my button in order to scroll. Okay. And then I have the back button. All right, the upper button. This is the forward button. This is the back button. I have that to be my right click. So I want to be able to access context menus with it. Okay. So make sure that's properly set up, that it's not doing something funky like changing the size of your pointer or whatever. Okay. And then once that's okay, you're going to go to mapping, all right, and make sure that the mapping is accordingly. All right. Now, one thing I didn't mention earlier is you can see here, there's two modes for a lot of these modern tablets. You can use it in the pen mode, or you can use it in the mouse mode. Okay. Pen mode maps your pen to your tablet. Mouse mode is just like your mouse. You pick up, you move, you drop down, you're able to move it like a mouse. All right. I'm not a big fan of that. Why use
keep it in pen mode, right?
Keep it in pen mode, yeah. All right.
Okay.
That's just gonna confuse you down the road. Okay, then make sure your screen area and your tablet area are full. You can always modify this later, all right? But these are usually the defaults, all right? If for some reason it's not, that might also be part of your problem, all right? But I think your biggest issue was probably that driver. It wasn't properly hooked up. Okay. All right.
You know what? When I bought this, I didn't download software. I plugged it in, and it went out and found a driver, and there we were.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So if you did any updates to Photoshop or Lightroom or other drawing programs, sometimes they'll kick out the Wacom driver. I've had that happen. It happened once to me, so it may have happened to you as well. All right. Adobe tries to avoid that, but I know it did it once a couple of years ago, and it took me a while to figure out what the heck happened. But every once in a while that may happen. So now that you understand that, that's where I would look first next time. Okay.
Thank you.
Now, as far as getting used to a tablet for drawing, what I would suggest is open up a blank canvas, get yourself a brush, all right? And one of the things, one of the things that eventually you want to work towards, and if you've watched me working, in the live workshops with my laptop, I have the stylus in my right hand because I'm right-handed, and I have my left hand on the keyboard. All right. As you guys know, I am a big proponent of using shortcut keys in order to make, my workflow faster. So I tend to have my left hand on the keyboard, my right hand with the mouse, and I can, work both at the same time without having to move up to the menu, selecting something from the menu, and using my pointer that way. I can, just use my keyboard to make changes. All right. And then what you're going to do is just, pick a brush, nothing fancy, and start making lines. All right. Try to get that coordination so that you're perpendicular or parallel to the screen, so that, because you're going to be looking at the screen, you're not going to be looking at the tablet. All right. You want the two to be autonomous. All right. So that when you're drawing a horizontal line on the screen, your hand is physically doing a horizontal line that's parallel with your tablet. Okay. And this is where I said try to keep it so that the tablet is parallel to your screen, so that I'm going to purposely turn mine sideways a little bit. It's more ergonomically correct, but if I want to make a straight line, all right, my brain is telling me I'm making a straight line parallel to my screen, all right? But because the tablet is at a slight angle that is ergonomic to my body position, it's not translating as a horizontal line. All right. I actually have to make the tablet parallel with the screen. All right. And then now my horizontal lines are horizontal as I'm looking at my screen and not looking at my hand. All right, does that make sense? Okay. And then, just get to the point where you can, draw relatively straight lines that are parallel or perpendicular and parallel to your screen. Okay. Once you get that, then you can move on to, creating circles. All right, where basically your pointer is starting at one position, moving through the physical space and coming back to that original position. All right. You think, oh, well, that's easy. All right. But at first, a lot of times this happens or this happens. All right. Because you don't have that hand-to-eye coordination. Okay. And the thing is, you don't need to rush this. Take your time with it. All right. Obviously, the slower you go, the little bit more control you're going to have. Okay. And then just do these exercises. All right. Because what you're doing here is you're basically retraining all the habits you had with the mouse. You're retraining it to now work with a stylus, which is more like a pen or a pencil. Okay. The other thing you're going to start working with is pressure. All right. And for that, we're going to need a brush that has pressure to it. So let's see. Where's my... Do I have pressure? All right. Okay. Where is it? And of course, now that I need it, it's not pen pressure. Here we go. Oh, now it doesn't want to work. Why? Okay. Yeah. It never fails when you want to explain something and the computer wants to do something completely different. Okay. I don't know why. Okay. I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to problem solve this right now because this may take a while. But like I said, the other thing you're going to want to play around with is, controlling pen pressure, how much pressure you're actually applying to your pen. All right. And let me just pull up. Let me just check one thing. Photoshop, pen, current pressure. Yeah, for some reason. Huh. For some reason, my pen pressure is not working with Photoshop. I'm going to have to troubleshoot this. Default. Okay. Like I said, I'm not going to spend a lot of time. It's probably a setting somewhere here in Photoshop. And I'm not going to waste your guys' time trying to problem solve it. But that's the other thing that you want to practice is going from thin to thick, thin to thick, thin to thick with your brushes. Okay. Also, there are certain shortcuts that work in conjunction uh, with your mouse or with the pen tablet, like constraints, all right, with the shift key, all right. Let's see. I can't see. I don't use these, so I can't even recall what they are now. But you can also control the size and the feather of your brush depending on which key combination you're holding. But again, I don't really work with that, so off the top of my head, I can't remember them. But being able to work with your left hand on a keyboard and this, on the tablet, really is going to be a big time saver. Okay. All right. Let me open up an image. Let me just do that. Okay. Now, the nice thing about a pen over a mouse is being able to have that fine motor control skill when you are when you're working with images. So, for example, if I wanted to create a selection, let's say around this very bright leaf, I can go and pick my lasso tool and very easily, take my time, go along and make a selection. Trying to do something like this with a mouse can become a little bit more difficult. All right. And of course, I don't have the steadiest of hands anymore like I used to when I was younger. All right. But, you can get really, really fine control over your selections. All right. Or if you're, doing any kind of painting, where with a mouse, trying to do something that fine with a mouse is almost impossible. Okay. Simply because with a mouse, the travel aspect, meaning the physical travel that the mouse has to do in relation to how it travels on the screen is different with the mouse than it is with a tablet. Okay? With a tablet, it's matched point to point, meaning, the upper right corner on the screen is also the upper right corner of your tablet. With a mouse, you don't have that reference. Wherever the pointer is on the screen, that's where the mouse pointer is. So if I lift my mouse, move it over and put it down, all right, it's going to maintain that same position. So trying to get that fine motor skill when you start running out of real estate on your desk becomes the issue. The other thing is the speed of your mouse changes with how the cursor travels on your screen. If you move your mouse slowly, all right, that cursor is going to inch across. But the minute you make a very quick move with your mouse, that pointer usually travels a longer distance. All right. So there's an algorithmic difference between a slow mouse movement and a fast mouse movement in relation to how far that cursor travels on the screen. All right. So there's that disconnect between the mouse and the tablet. Okay. So with a tablet, wherever you put it, that's where it is. If I move it fast, it's not going to move further on my screen. It's just going to move to that new position faster. All right, unlike the mouse, where if you move fast, it's just going to fly right off your screen. Okay, and that's the other thing with a mouse. If you go off screen, it's just going to virtually keep going until you kind of sort of bring it back. All right, or if you have the option on your mouse where if you go off the right side, it then brings it in from the left. Okay, that's an option you can set up on your mouse that's not available through a tablet, because if you want to come from the right over to the left, you just have to lift up, bring it over, and touch the other side, and you're instantly back on the other side. Okay, so let me see if I can do this. I can touch up here. All right, let me put that back. And if I move, okay, I'm now off the tablet, and I come down here. All right, if you look at my pointer is automatically going to come to its new position. All right, it's not going to stay in the upper right hand corner thinking that I'm just like a mouse lifting up and repositioning my hand. All right, wherever I touch on the tablet, that's where the pointer's going to go. Okay, so you need to get that coordination in check. All right. The other benefit is, besides, motor control, is now because you have an additional hand, is you can, create different functionality to that tip. All right, depending on what program you're using. Okay, so you have the fine control, all right, and you have the exact placement on screen in relation to the tablet, and those are probably the two biggest hurdles that you need to overcome when you're moving from a mouse to a tablet. Okay, now the things that are similar is obviously if you zoom in, all right, your work area on the screen becomes larger, and in relation, that work area then becomes larger on the tablet. Okay, so if I were to zoom this out, okay, let me bring it to full screen. All right, and I wanted to, draw a little marquee around this bright spot. Okay, on the screen, in relation to my full real estate, that little spot is very small. That means it's going to translate to a very tiny little area of my physical space on my tablet. All right, and now it's compounded because I'm using the tablet to control two screens, my screen 1 and screen 2. All right, so that little area on the image is literally, if I were to measure it, it's about 1/4 of an inch. All right, so if you've ever tried to draw something with detail with a regular pencil, something with detail within 1/4 of an inch, you know how difficult that is. All right. However, we can alter the size perspective by zooming in, all right, and making our visual area on the screen bigger, all right, and now that physical area translates to, let's see, if I go from there to there, all right, that's about almost 3 inches, all right? So I have a much larger canvas, I guess you can say it, to work with physically in relation to my virtual canvas, all right? So being able to zoom in really helps give you that finer motor control, all right? When you're making your selections or when you're doing any kind of painting, dodging, burning, whatever it is that you want to do, okay? All right. And, of course, navigating is easy, with like Photoshop. I just press and hold the space bar and I can move around. Okay. As long as I have that space bar pressed, I can move around. It's the same with your mouse. All right. But now instead of making these big movements with my mouse, I can make little flicks with the pen. All right. All right. So hopefully that kind of gives you some tips and tricks to get used to this. All right. So what I'd like to do, well, first of all, anybody have any questions to this point? I want to throw out one more thing at you, but any questions? No? All right. The final tip has to do with the stylus. All right. Now, we're very familiar. Actually, let me bring this. All right. We're very familiar with the ergonomics of a mouse. All right. We take our hand, especially if we have a mouse that's sized appropriately to our hands. All right. And then we can place our index finger on the left mouse button, our middle finger on the right mouse button. If you have additional buttons, you can control it with your thumb, with your other finger, and so on. All right. So these have become very ergonomic to working, on a desktop. Okay. We move left or right. We lift up, place back down. We can continue moving, and we get that action, right? But those actions are kind of very broad actions, all right? They're not the fine-tuned actions that you can get with like a pen. However, when you now make the transition to using a stylus, all right, which represents a pen or a pencil, all of a sudden our hands are in a new position, okay? While this is comfortable for drawing, all right, if this was a regular pencil or a regular pen or even a brush, all right, this is very natural for us to be able to replicate. What is not natural is having access to these buttons, all right? I don't know if it's a design flaw. I don't think it's a design flaw. It's just they're trying to build in, accessibility to Windows and Apple OS functionality that is available in a mouse. They're trying to take these multiple buttons and put it onto a stylus. All right, so this becomes a bit of a cramped position. Okay, so there are a few little tips that I can give you about this. This for me feels natural. All right, I can very easily draw, and when I need to do a click, I just bring my finger up, all right, and make my click, and I'm back to a drawing position. What's more awkward is this further back button that I have set for my right click. Okay, I've gotten used to be able to control it with my index finger. Okay, if this is uncomfortable for you, you might want to consider moving it to a thumb position, all right? And you basically do the same thing with a thumb position, okay? So it all depends on, your comfort with your hand position, all right? I've known some people that will even control it with their middle finger, all right? I can't do that at all. My brain just can't wrap around it, okay? But with this, with the buttons on the top side, it's easy to control with your index finger, all right? If you turn it 180 degrees with the buttons facing down, you can control it with your thumb, all right? So that's another thing that you can play around with to see which one of these two positions works best for you, whether it's under your index or under your thumb, okay? So that's the tip I have on the tip, okay? Oh, speaking of tips, I'll give you one more little hint, okay? As I mentioned earlier, I covered mine with a protective film that's used for, tablets. Okay. This creates a smoother surface for the tip to glide on. Okay. However, there is still friction there. And these tips are made out of nylon plastic. Eventually, they do wear down. All right. Just like eventually this will, wear down. It will no longer be slick and smooth. It'll start showing its age. That's when you rip it off. Right. But these also wear down. Okay. By having this protection, it doesn't wear down as fast. All right. But these can come out. And your tablet should come with a little kind of like metal clippy thing that will grab the tip and be able to pull it out. I just use my teeth. All right. And you will see that it's a long piece of plastic. All right. But this long piece of plastic, only the very, very, last 3/8 of an inch, or no, 3/16 of an inch stick out as the tip, all right? Your tablet comes usually with 3 extras, all right? And depending on how much you use these, if you go through them, I've gone through about 3 or 4 of these already in my lifespan, all right? But what I found is that if you get the 1 millimeter, weed whacker cable, the weed whacker cord, all right? If you have a weed whacker at home that takes to 1 millimeter, cut yourself, all right? Get a little bit, run it in warm water to straighten it out, and then cut yourself a bunch of them at that length, and then take a very fine grit sandpaper and just kind of round it off, and you'll get yourself a brand new nib at literally no cost because you already have the weed whacker. If you don't have a weed whacker, well, find somebody who does and say, hey, can I get a length of your weed whacker cord? It's the same exact size. So there's the pro tip of the night. All right. Hopefully you've now got yourself a good understanding of the different types of tablets and how to set it up, how to use it, how to configure it, and it's just you got to practice.
Duck,
Yeah.
something I just noticed. You know how you said you have to angle the tablet the way your monitor is? I notice, because I have a small tablet, if I'm doing something to the left part of my picture, I have to move the tablet to the left or the same to the right in order so I can be coordinated. Is that unusual?
You mean you have to physically move the tablet?
Yes.
Yeah, that's just an ergonomic thing with your position to the tablet. All right. So to give you an idea, all right, based on the photo that you showed me, you have your tablet in line, your screen, your keyboard, yes, your tablet. Okay, right? Screen, keyboard, tablet.
Yeah, that's how I have it. In fact, in that picture, the tablet is way over to the left. And since you saw that picture, I moved the tablet so it was in the middle of the keyboard. So the left part of the keyboard and the right part of the keyboard are about the same size.
Right.
And so I was trying to burn something on the left side of my picture, and it was just weird for me, so I had to move the tablet to the left.
Yeah. All right. So what that is tablet relationship to your body. Okay. If actually, let me see if I can angle this down. Won't let me angle it down enough. I don't want to break my system. Oh yeah, here we go. All right.
There we go.
All right. So this is my system the way I normally use it. All right. If I have my laptop here, I'll have my tablet here. Okay. In this case, I'm using two screens. Okay. Screen number 1 is here. Screen number 2 is here. My camera is literally right in between the two. Okay. So my body is centered to my camera in order to be able to present to you guys properly. So that means I have to position these two things in relation to my body. Okay. So I have my hip is right here. All right. This is the leftmost part of my tablet. Okay. This is the rightmost part of my tablet away from me. All right. So at no point do I need to use this tablet by crossing across my body. Okay. If I were to stack this where I have my keyboard, all right, and my tablet in line, even if they're a little, either here or here, it doesn't matter, all right? Like I said, I normally work with one hand on the keyboard, one hand on the tablet, all right? First of all, I'm now at two different levels. One further away from me, one closer to me, all right? Not a big thing. That's not a deal breaker. However, to get to this side of the screen, in order to use this screen, I have to cross my body. All right? When I cross my body, it's forcing my elbow forward. Okay? So now, my normal action to make a horizontal line is to do this. Okay? If I want to make a line up and down, I do this. Correct? The minute I cross my body, this no longer is a horizontal line, and this no longer is an up and down line. Okay? So by moving my tablet over, all right, I now have it so that this here or this here is still a horizontal movement, while this, all right, because I'm no longer encumbered by my physical body, this is still an up and down movement here and an up and down movement here. All right. And I now have full access to my keyboard, all right, without having to cross over my work area.
All right.
Okay,
So
so the keyboard, I can still work on a keyboard if my keyboard is at an angle, all right? Because I have reference. All I got to do is keep my thumb here, all right? And I'm going to always be parallel to my keyboard, okay? So, and then just a quick glance, I can find whatever I'm at here. All right. Oop, we lost you there for a second. Okay. So by keeping my thumb, all right, I can be looking at the camera. All right. I don't have to worry about, hunting and seeking with my hand. All right. I can just, I usually work within this area of the keyboard anyway. If I need to come to this side, I can very easily do it. Just by keeping my thumb on the physical keyboard. All right. I know that I can close my eyes, and here I'm on the left side, here on my right side, here I am on the keypads, here's my function keys, and I'm doing this, you can't see me, but I have my eyes closed, and I can find everything on this keyboard, the general areas, just because I have my thumb connected to the keyboard at all times, okay? With the tablet, it's a little different because there will be times when I lose contact from my tablet in order to put my cursor in a new position relative to my screen, all right? But I know that this is the upper right hand or the upper left hand corner of screen 1. This is the lower left hand corner of screen 1. This is the lower right. This is the upper left of screen 2, and this is the lower right of screen 2. Okay? And once the stylus is within reading range, meaning the tablet detects the stylus, all right? And it's usually, roughly about an inch from the surface. Once I'm at an inch of the surface, all right, the tip is not physically making contact with the tablet, but I can look at the monitor and see exactly where my mouse is. Okay. And we lost Bill, or we lost somebody. Okay. All right. So here's another trick that I actually got used to this trick when I was a tattoo artist. Okay. Let me bring this back up a little bit here. Whoa, right. Okay. Going back to my tattoo days. Okay. Let's say this is a tattoo machine. All right. The tattoo needle moves in and out. Okay. I need to control how far it goes into the skin in order to leave pigment, all right? If I just float this, I have no gauge as to where that needle, how deep it's going in, because my hand is floating, all right? So I got used to putting my middle finger alongside the tip, all right? And I use my middle finger to keep the tip of my stylus at a set distance from the surface, all right? I got used to this with a tattoo machine because I can very easily rock the tattoo machine into the skin, move along, all right? And because my finger is making contact with the skin, I know I'm going to maintain an even distance, all right? I've taken that and translated it to working with the tablet. I will keep my finger on the tablet, which in turn leaves the tip of the stylus floating at a very specific height. So now I can move this around anywhere here. I'll be able to see the movement, but the tip is not making actual physical contact. When I want to make contact, I just move my finger out of the way. All right. So this has become second nature for me just because I've done it for 24 years. All right. It may be a little technique that you can try to see if, if you're having trouble floating it. All right. You're making contact here. All right. Which is at the back of the hand, but the stylus is at the front of the hand. All right. If this is awkward, maybe make contact with your middle finger and then use that as a guide. It's a little awkward to get used to, but sometimes that helps too. All right, so that's another tip, pro tip, I guess you can call it.
I've since changed my workstation here where my hand is not crossing my body.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the type of desktop setup I have, I'm a little limited because it's a drawer. So I've got a little table over here where I have my keyboard and I have my my tablet to the right of the drawer, and I moved my chair to the left so I can be more ergonomic.
Right. Yeah. The other thing, you can do. Let me swing this down. Okay. You have it on a drawer that comes out like this, right?
Yes.
Okay. And it's probably not wide enough for both.
Right.
Okay. What you might want to do is make sure that you have enough cord that when it comes out, you can do this with your keyboard.
Okay.
All right. So if you can take it, lift it off and put it on the edge.
Yes.
And then keep this on that shelf.
Oh, okay.
I
have plenty of room. Yeah.
Yeah, that may work as well. All right.
Good. That's better. Yeah, that works.
All right, but
that's why we got disconnected before. Because I was trying to move my stuffed keyboard and the tablet around.
Gotcha.
Pressed the wrong button here.
Yeah.
There we are. That works. I have the keyboard on the top part, and I can. There we are, and I've got the mouse here, and.
Yeah. But the trick is, don't put this directly in front of you, because if you have to cross your body, it makes it a little bit more awkward. The swing of your wrist and the swing of your elbow. All right. Like, for example, as an artist, all right, when I was first learning to draw, my art teacher, the first thing they tell me is, don't draw like this. All right. Don't draw with your fingers. Don't draw with your wrist. Draw with your arm. All right. Make sweeping gestures. All right. So you're basically drawing with your elbow. And it's the same thing with the stylus. This gives you absolutely no control. All right. It's this kind of movement across the surface that is going to give you that control. All right. So if you use your whole entire arm, all right. Otherwise, if you're using your wrist, in order to draw a straight line and you're doing this, what's this? This is drawing an arc. All right. So at this part here, yes, you're parallel to the surface of your board, but as soon as you come here, you're now at an angle to that board. All right. So you need to be able to kind of lift your hand off. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go grab something real quick. I actually have a graphics tablet that's a screen. Okay, I don't use it too often because it's a UG. All right. I bought it because it was inexpensive. It was like $400 in comparison to a $2,000 Cintiq. And I bought it and quickly discovered why I shouldn't have bought it. It is literally a piece of crap. They haven't done anything with their software or driver updates since I bought it about 8 years ago. All right. But I occasionally plug it in. If you can overlook the inequities of it, you can do stuff with it. All right. However, one of the things that you will notice with these graphic tablets is they will come with a glove like this. All right. It's a half glove. All right. And this is designed so that when your palm is on the glass of the screen, it slides. Okay. So if you find that your palm catches even on these, consider buying one of these. They're very inexpensive, a couple bucks. You can get one or two. Or you can take a regular white cotton glove, cut it, and use that. Okay. This allows
What kind of
you.
glove is that?
This is called. Well, I don't know what the technical name is, but it's a drawing glove. All right.
I want to look for it on.
Yeah. This particular one is made by X Pen. All right. I bought this because my original one that I had, I lost. All right. And I need a replacement. I can't even remember how much it cost, but it wasn't that expensive. All right. But like I said, you can get those cheap white dusting gloves and then just cut off these three fingers and use that as well. But what this does is it reduces the friction on the tablet so you can move across, especially on hot, humid days. If you're starting to get a little sweaty, all right, and all of a sudden you're getting that skip across the tablet, this kind of helps reduce that. So there's another something that you can use as well. Okay. All right. Any other questions? We actually covered I didn't realize, when you suggested the topic, I said, oh man, this is probably going to take me half an hour and that's it.
This was very helpful because I bought this thing, tried to use it, and it's like, the mouse is easier. So when you did ask, it's like, how about a pen tool?
Right. Yeah, when you first said pen tool, I thought you meant actually this pen tool right here. Where is it? This pen tool right here.
That I would say you brought it up, that I would like to learn in a future lesson.
That's what I thought you were talking about. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll cover that one of these days. So, alrighty, guys. Hopefully, everybody walks away with a little bit more knowledge. Who does not have a tablet?
One of your tablets, but I do have a tablet.
Well, okay. What kind?
Oh God, where is it?
So it's not Wacom, right?
No, it's not any. It's not a graphic tablet. It's just a plain old tablet.
Okay. So
it's a Samsung tablet-y.
Oh. You're talking about like a computer tablet.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, that's yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, that's a totally different animal. So, although there are ways of using that as a graphics tablet with Photoshop, it's just getting the connectivity and the software all working together. It's a bit of a pain in the neck. So I'm not even going to go there because I haven't done that in 10 years. So I'm not going to rely on my memory.
Laptop.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Uh, if you are using the little the touch pads like on a laptop, all right, that's probably the worst way you can work on graphics. All right, at that point I would suggest at least upgrade to one of these, a USB mouse. Just plug it into a USB port on your laptop and you're good to go. They sound smaller than this so that they're easy to transport, but get off of that little trackpad on your laptop, and if you can, this is the ultimate editing tool right here. Once you get comfortable and you start editing with this, you'll wonder why you've never used this sooner. It makes things fly so much easier. All right, simply because you have that finer control. All right, and it doesn't have to be something this big. Like I showed you early on, you can get the small ones, very very portable. And let me tell you, these Wacom ones, they're a workhorse. I've had that one, like I said, for about 20 years now, and it's still going strong. They're hard to kill. All right. Anyways, I want to thank you guys. You're all my Patreons, right? Except Bob. Bob's new. I don't really know you, Bob. But anyhow, what I like to do is just very quickly just remind you that next Monday is going to be just general discussion. If you have any questions on anything photographically related, you could either shoot me an email or post it on Facebook, say, hey, can you talk about such and such? Or when we go live, just, ask a question. All right. But if you're going to join me next Monday, start thinking about some of these questions that you want answered, whatever topic you want. Okay. Additionally, warm weather is finally here. This whole COVID scare is starting to subside. All right. Hopefully everybody's still, maintaining their social distancing, because we definitely don't want this thing to flare back up. And that's pretty much the concern that a lot of people have. All right. But as we know, being in these photography groups, it's about being in a social environment with other photographers that enjoy doing the kinds of things that we do. All right. So I know I want to get back out there, working with other photographers in a group and doing the workshops and doing the outings. And one of the things that I want to do is get my multiplicity workshop going. So we'll probably, before it starts getting cold, I want to do something. But I got that, in the works. Haven't scheduled it yet, but it's in the works. Right now, we're looking at pretty much 2 locations. One in in the, Bridgeport, Milford, Shelton area. And another one may be, up towards the Hartford, Norwich area. So we'll see about that. Also, I know a lot of you are members of the Hartford Amateurs Photography Group on Facebooks. I've been in contact with Robert about getting a architecture/street photography workshop going, probably in Norwich as well. So we just got to come up with a date that's going to be good for everybody. So stick around. When those dates get firmed up, I'll be posting those on Facebook, and any other workshops. I know Milford Photo just reopened their doors. They're taking customers in by appointment, and they've been also doing a few workshops on Zoom. But I've talked to Jesse. He's eager to get back into the normal flow of doing workshops at the studio. I've done some workshops. I'm probably going to look to do something online with Milford Photo soon, and possibly a beginner class, that we'll be doing it outdoors, downtown Milford. So, those will be posted not only on my Facebook page, but also on Milford Photo's Facebook page as well. So, and Meetup. Okay. So stick around to those, and hopefully we'll see you at a live event soon. All right.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you so much.
All righty,
Very
guys.
good. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Hopefully we'll see you all next Monday.
Good. Have a
All
nice
right.
night.
And
Thanks, babe.
and also I'll post when this goes up on YouTube, so you can always refer back to it. Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys. Yes,
Thanks, Doug.
you guys stay
Okay.
safe as well. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you for watching Learning Photography with Duck. Brought to you in association with Milford Photo, your local full-service camera store. Located in downtown Milford, Connecticut, Milford Photo offers you a personalized shopping experience. From the latest camera gear to printing and framing services. And, of course, educational workshops to teach you the finer aspects of photography. Don't forget to tell them Duck sent you.